How's your weekend?
It was good. It was. You know what? I did not do that challenge again. The Sudoku.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, maybe third time to try this weekend. We'll see.
Yeah, I did it twice. So Abby's writing a blog post. Abby's our content manager, and she's exploring the Balmer Peak, which is like
Mhm.
the dude who I think invented the medical residency, and turns out he was just like a raging cokehead. I'm probably like getting historical facts wrong, but so there's this concept of the Balmer Peak, which is like at a certain level of inebriation, you're actually better, like cognitively more, creative and like efficient than you are sober. So anyway, Donovan and I volunteered as tribute for this, and I don't know. I felt like I just consistently got better at the Sudoku, probably because like I don't do Sudoku regularly. So
Yeah. Hey, if you have any like gems or tips to give to me for this next third attempt, I'm all ears.
I would just like set an alarm so you don't forget. Like that's the hardest part, once you're like drinking to like
Yeah.
remember to actually like do a Sudoku and then also to do it like when you're done imbibing. I don't know. It's just like it's not like a thing people usually do when they're drinking. So it's hard to
I
remember.
know. That's what I was. I'm like, you know what? Next time, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna be like, can somebody like text me a reminder, even if
Right. Yeah.
something.
You need like an accountability buddy. Maybe we should all just do it
Yeah.
together. I'll do it again. Whatever. Well, Donovan, welcome to the Frontier Podcast. You haven't been on yet, have you? Is this your debut?
Um, this is my debut. This is my
Let's go.
my solo.
Let's go.
Thank you for having
Of
me.
course. I'm really excited for this interview, because I'm excited to learn more about you, but also your role here, I think is, I don't know, there's just so many folks that are kind of like in that job market and looking for similar things. So I'm like really curious to hear your take so far as someone who's kind of new to this space. But before we get into any of that, how about you introduce yourself? Donovan, what do you do here? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I was brought on the gun team in October as an SDR, sales development representative. So pretty much, yeah, pretty much I'm one of the two on the outbound team. Pretty much just growing the pipeline and yeah, bringing in more clients. A brief explanation.
I think like the SDR team looks different at every company. So it's probably worth noting that, like, Donovan mentioned he's one of two. Also, like our first ever outbound team.
Yeah,
So that is not only is outbound usually the hardest job at the company, but you're also forging a whole practice and department where previously there was not one. So it's a hard job.
yeah. Shouts out Ben, Kate, Jesse, Dash, everybody that's like helping me.
Yeah.
Faith,
Well, what did you do before coming on the team here? Were you an SDR someplace else?
yeah. So before coming on the gun, I worked for another company called ShareBite, and they had pretty much what the industry's doing now, round of layoffs. And I was like, man, I need to find something. So I joined this program called Vendition, really great program. If anyone's listening and is looking to break into sales, I really think that and Rework are two great programs that can really teach you the basics, and not only that, but they can help land you a position as well. And that's the program that me and Grayson uh, both joined, and both like, got to work with guns. So I think it's a pretty good program, pretty solid. And but yeah, before at ShareBite, I was an SDR for about a few months, and I really liked it. It was different. It was more competitive. Obviously, the money was good, so I was like, I could do this sales for a while. So yeah, that's pretty much how I got into like tech sales. I just saw it was a growing industry and just decided to give it a shot.
I know about Vendition because I've got a friend on the team there, but I would love to hear, like, what do you think the biggest kind of win was when you like working with Vendition versus, kind of doing the job search thing on your own?
I don't think people realize how good it feels just to wake up, because you regular job. So let me just set the picture, paint the picture. Regular job, okay, I'm applying Monday through Friday. you don't hear back for maybe 2 weeks, and then it's like, oh, we don't, decided to pick someone else or whatever the case is, and you just redo it all over again. With Vendition, it was like they came to you with jobs, so it was like, I'd wake up on a Monday and I was still out applying on the outside, but they were like, hey, we have this and this and this. Which one do you want? So I can line up an interview for like Wednesday, and I tell them which one sounded interesting. You already know the pay and already know what they do beforehand, and they also help you out with the interview process. Not like specific questions, but they help you better prepare for it.
Hmm.
So that way you won't kind of lat or stall during the interview and really, show who you are. Um, it was great. It was great. Yeah, that's why I recommend it so much, because you
Yeah,
wake up throughout the week with like 6 new job opportunities.
that's
So
awesome. It's like gun.io, but for sales jobs.
exactly, yeah.
That's really cool. Um, So you came to Gun, you started a couple months ago. So you're still like pretty fresh with like the onboarding experience as a new
Mhm.
SDR. So I'm curious if we could get into like, you know, because that's like such a fresh memory for you. If there's a manager listening who's getting ready to onboard new sales folks, do you have any advice for them to help that go smoothly?
Set expectations. Let that be number one. I think Ben and Tasia Daver did a really good job as far as like mapping out the kind of metrics
Hmm.
that we need to, hit off ramp once we get done, learning everything, just setting the expectations for what we're about to do. Whether that be, oh, we want you to hit 200 calls a week or 50 calls a week. It was really good for me and Grayson to kind of just, know what we were getting ourselves into.
Mm,
A tip that I'd like to add if I was a manager, going into it, I like Kahoot. I honestly feel like that's the the best and easiest way to do things, like
yeah.
in terms of learning, or one of the best anyway. And if you have to learn terminology, with like gun, you have to learn like engineering terms. I've never worked with my roommate in college was an engineer, and I don't. That's the like only engineer I know. So I came in a gun who works with engineers,
Yeah.
and I knew like zero terms. I'm like, what is React Native?
Yeah.
What is a back end, front end, full stack? So I like to say if I was manager, I'd probably just like, hey, let's make a Kahoot. Best out of two wins like, I don't know, a beer or something. I don't know. So
Yeah. You should make a Kahoot for us. I'm a former teacher. So Kahoot was
yeah,
my like life's blood for 3 years.
yeah.
Like
It's helpful. I honestly brought it to Ben like my first. It was like my first week, and this is like when I was trying to get everything done. I was like, I'm gonna make a sales like onboarding for any future people to come, and
yeah.
me and Grayson just talked with him about Kahoot. So it's gonna be done. You might be the first player. I
Nice.
just send you a private link
I'll
or
probably learn a
something.
lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So like number one, it sounds like get like be really clear on what success looks like. So
Mhm.
then you kind of understand like you can measure your own performance over time. And two, have a plan for like the most important terms and concepts that anyone on the team has to know.
Yeah.
So, on the other side of that, like if you could go back in time and talk to yourself 2 months ago when you joined the team, do you have any advice for folks that are maybe joining a new industry on the sales team, like how to kind of get kicked off with a bang?
Ask questions. Questions will save your life. Like I don't know why people act too good to ask questions sometimes. Like
Yeah.
I was that kid in class and hand raising. Like if I
Yeah.
don't get something, it's you just gonna take time out your day later on in the day where you could be relaxing to research something that you could have just asked the manager anyway. So
Right.
ask questions from people that you would like to get in a position of one day. That's what I look like. Any account executives, Jessie does great. She's a monster. So
Hmm.
and she like knows a lot. So why not ask, obviously the person in the position where I want to get to one day. Set short term goals. Because when you're like, okay, cool, I want to hit 100 prospects and I want to get set amount of money, because obviously money is the main factor. You hear 15 prospects gotten in a month and maybe like 35, $4,000 in commission. You're like, let's do it.
Yeah.
But then you don't realize like what it takes to get to that point. So I say if just break off your calls. If you need to do 20 calls a day to get to this set amount of money, then do it. So set short term goals and just ask questions.
That's so interesting because even when I joined Gun, I don't think I had a clear idea of what I wanted to do next. Like I was like, all right, I'm joining as a growth associate and this is gonna be great. And I've got short-term goals, but I never would have thought to ask questions of people who are in a position that I want to get to because I just like didn't know what that is. And it sounds like for you, it's really clear that sales is probably your thing. Have you always been kind of drawn to the sales world?
Yeah, I say I always joke around. I joke around with friends, and even with Ben when I was interviewing, I was like, technically, I've been involved in sales since like 6 years old. Uh,
What were you selling?
anything I can get my hands on. I was selling like Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So I was first I was selling Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and then I realized like, wait, I like these Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I play with these Yu-Gi-Oh cards. So how about not? Let's
Yeah, I want
sell.
to keep them.
Yeah, I started selling candy, and specifically Mexican candy, because I
Oh,
used to live in Vegas. So I'd get my mom to buy me this bag of candy, suckers. I wish I could remember the name. It was suckers though, and maybe it was like $3 for a big bag, and I charge $1 per sucker. And when you're little, like they don't people, you just see some candy, and
yeah,
like you got quarters and money, so I was making money. Like I was like that was the time I felt good.
yeah.
But I save money now, maybe like 50.
I mean,
But
that's a lot
as a
for a
kid,
6-year-old. That's a lot for
yeah,
me.
yeah, pay off maybe what half a bill with that now.
Yeah.
And then so after that, once I got in college, the organizations I was involved in, I normally was in some type of sales position. So it was a transition. But it's weird because I thought I was going to do marketing
Yeah.
for a while. My major in college was public relations. So either it was marketing or sales. I feel like they're hand in hand.
I mean, you and I do the same thing, which is like generate
Yeah.
prospects for the business. We just do it two different ways. But we have to think
Yeah.
about the same things. Like we have to be in the mindset of the customer and we have to understand like framing value propositions and like, our minds work the same. We're just like doing the job differently.
Yeah. Say go on about it.
You could always like transition. I think it would be really easier for you to like transition to marketing and back into sales and
Make some marketing content. Maybe one day.
it's
Uh,
fun, but it's like it's not like sales where you get like instant gratification around like achieving a quota. Like
mhm.
marketers don't have quotas because it's like, we'll hit this number or you're not doing your job and you're fired. It's not like, you
Tragedy.
know, yeah, it's not like if I blow past my goals, we're gonna get like a commission or a bonus.
So as far as like numbers for the marketing position, what are your numbers? Is it based off of like how many people may visit the site, or just based off of just leads in general that you're
Yeah.
generating off of it?
Well, yeah, it depends on kind of like what's on fire and where the opportunity is. But overall, like our biggest number is leads generated. And
Yeah.
then there's a bunch of numbers that feed that, right? Like we could generate 100 leads if we get 1,000 people to the website at a 10% conversion,
Hmm.
or we could generate 100 leads if we get 100 people to the website at 100% conversion. So there's like some room to play with like how we do it, right? So but overall, like our
Got it.
biggest accountability number is leads generated. What's interesting is like someone like you, I perceive you to be like driven by that kind of like dopamine hit you get as a salesperson when there's those small wins and it's like, I don't know, you get like a financial reward for doing those
Yeah.
things. So I feel like you would like marketing and I think you'd be really good at it, but I kind of see you being really successful at sales.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna keep doing sales as long as I don't get tired of it. But
Yeah.
if you ever like any TikTok
Oh,
thing in
yes.
the future, I'm down.
Are you down? Well, no, I have that recorded. So I will certainly follow up with you on that and hold you
Okay.
to it. uh,
By law.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, legally binding podcast. That's what we do here.
Yeah.
Okay. I have one final question for you, Donovan, which is outside of gun.io, close and deals, where can we find you? What do you do outside of work for fun?
Oh, outside of work, I actually do music. So I
Do you
actually,
really?
yeah. I've been making music for a few years. So if y'all want to find me, it's Donovan.Suggs, Suggs, and Donovan is spelled Donovan. A lot of people spell it with Donavan, but
Mm.
that's just wrong. That's the wrong way.
Yeah, that
So.
seems incorrect. Yeah, we'll throw your Instagram in the show notes. But what kind of music do you make?
A mix of like hip hop and then alternative. I'm trying to like steer more indie-ish right now.
Yeah. Do you
Just 'cause I
produce
like
it
that.
too?
No, I actually have a few producers. I just lay the vocals down, and I have my own engineer out here.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so let's see. That's I would shout him out, but like Nick Grand, yeah, he's my like engineer. So he works with a lot of like he was with Trippy and I like Can like big artists.
Yeah.
And I've known him for a while. So
Is Houston a
shout out
big,
him.
is there like a big scene for music?
I think its underground scene isn't all that big. Like its underground scene isn't big, but it's seen like as far as artists who are already established and just move out here just to move out here.
Mm.
That's pretty cool. But I think underground scene, no. But it's so big of a city, like
Yeah.
sky's the limit as far as networking goes. So that's why,
Right.
like, you might, someone is listening to this podcast and is Houston, you'll probably see me at events. I was, just at some this past weekend. So,
Oh my God, that's so
sky's the limit as
cool.
far as like networking.
I feel like there's something in the water in Houston.
Yeah.
Beyonce, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay, how you fuck with me but lame in private? Know that I'm the shit, it's hard to dodge it. Said I ain't on shit, little boy stay quiet. 50K up on his wrist, nothing in his pocket.
That's awesome. I had no idea that you did that. I feel like that's a huge time commitment. Like I imagine that takes up kind of most of your non-working hours.
It is, but it's like if it's something that you like, then it's like I feel like time goes. You'll be in the studio, and it's funny because I'll be in there, and we'll go at like 5 or 6, or even my engineer works late, so not works late. I mean, like for some reason, I'll text him at 7, and he'll be like, "Oh yeah, let's work," and then he'll be like, "I'm free at 10."
Oh my God.
I'll be like, okay, so we'll work until like 3 or 4 a.m. But like you kind of get lost in it when it's something that you have fun doing.
Yeah, that's so cool. Well, I'm excited to check out your stuff. And thanks for the fun fact. I can't believe I didn't know that.
I didn't.
You didn't mention is this like the secret drop? Like everyone on the team is going to learn about it now?
Yeah, probably.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I'll give you a heads up just in case like this is how you this is your big break. You gotta be prepared for all the fans.
This is what blows it up. That'd be funny.
Well, Donovan, this has been great. Thank you for taking the time, and it was really fun to get to know you a little bit better and hear your advice for folks who are kind of doing the same thing as you. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Frontier Podcast powered by Gun.io. We drop 2 episodes per week, so if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe on your platform of choice and come hang out with us again next week and bring all your internet friends. If you have questions or recommendations, just shoot us a Twitter DM at The Frontier Pod, and we'll see you next week. On my side, you froze for that whole time, but you're being recorded locally. So when Bill goes through and Bill will edit this so that hopefully my face isn't just like frozen and confused.
Okay. I know you were frozen. I was like, wow, I must be like real captivating.
Yeah, she's real engaged.